Good evening once again. This is Attorney Alfonso Roma, your instructor in criminal law, Book 1. We will continue on what we have left. That is the mitigating circumstance or mitigating circumstances under Article 13 of the Revised Penal Code. Again, the purpose of mitigating circumstance or circumstance present in the commission of crime is to lower the penalty. The penalty has minimum and maximum period. Minimum, medium, and maximum period. And when there is a mitigating circumstance or when there are mitigating circumstances present during the commission of a crime, that could be appreciated, and the penalty that may be imposed by the offender may be lowered. The presence of one mitigating circumstance may lower the imposable penalty to minimum period as provided for by law. So, ang krimen na siya ay specific penalty, and the penalty should be composed of minimum, medium, and maximum periods, except those indivisible penalties. The indivisible penalties you might later on learn that cannot be divided. So, regardless kung may presence of mitigating circumstance, the penalty will be imposed regardless of that presence. What are penalties that cannot be composed of periods? That, for example, the penalty of reclusion perpetua. If you will remember, or if you know already, the penalty of reclusion perpetua is 20 years and 1 day to 40 years. That's indivisible penalty under the law, and it cannot be divided into periods or 3 periods. So, again, the main purpose of mitigating circumstance is the application of penalty imposed on the offender, and it will be appreciated in his favor. Mugamay ihang penalty if na ay mitigating circumstance. Now, we will review once again paragraph 1, the incomplete justifying or exempting circumstances. Now, if you remember the justifying and exempting circumstances under Article 11 and 12, naana siya yung mga elements. So, if one or two elements are lacking, then you will or you may invoke mitigating circumstance of incomplete justifying or exempting. I have already discussed that, and this is just a review. So, for example, I will just give you a quick example. In self-defense, there must be unlawful aggression because you cannot defend yourself if you are not being attacked. Now, if the reasonable necessity of means employed is absent, or if you provoke the attacker, leading to the defending yourself, then that constitute a incomplete justifying circumstance or incomplete exempting circumstance. That incomplete justifying or exempting circumstance will have the offender in his favor the appreciation of mitigating circumstance of incomplete justifying or exempting circumstances. Now, we will go back again on insanity. There is no incomplete insanity. You should be insane or you are not insane. So there's no incomplete insanity. You may refer back or go back to the previous lectures with regard to the elements of the other exempting or justifying circumstances. Moving on, paragraph 2 is that the offender is under 18. We have already discussed this. Minority is an exempting circumstance. Under the law on Juvenile Justice Delinquent Act or juvenile law, a minor under 15 or under is exempted from criminal liability. But do we have processes for minor committing a crime? Regardless kung kabalo na siya or wala sa iyang gibuhat, regardless kung aware na siya sa sa result sa iyang gibuhat or wala, 15 or below, they are exempted from criminal liability. And minor 16, 17, they are still exempted, but if they acted in discernment, they will go to the process, the normal process. But then again, the effect of those minority will be appreciated as special mitigating circumstance of minority, or after trial, if the minor is found guilty of the crime, the sentence will be still suspended. So again, 15 under, minor is completely exempt from criminal liability. 16 and 17, you have to determine if the minor committed the crime or the act with discernment. I already discussed discernment. And if he did not commit the crime with discernment, then he is exempt. If he committed the crime with discernment, then he will go to the process. But then again, the processes are still favorable to the minor. Moving on, paragraph 3, the offender had no intention to commit so grave a wrong as that committed. That is the paragraph specifically describing praeter intentionem. I have posted it as my comment, praeter intentionem, the intention or the result of the intended act is larger than what is intended. So, unsa may example ani? If the person or the offender just wanted to physically harm the victim, iya lang gisumbag, then sukmag niya, then na bagok ang ulo sa simento na matay. The intention is, of course, unlawful. That is, if you punch someone, that is commission of slight physical injury, as the case may be. Now, the intention is only to inflict slight physical injury by punching, or maybe serious physical injury. But if the victim died as a result of the unlawful act, the person committing slight physical injury will still face criminal liability over the death of that person. However, he may invoke the mitigating circumstance that ang iyang tuyo is to inflict physical harm, not to kill. So, the mitigating circumstance of the offender had no intention to commit so grave a wrong may be appreciated in his favor. And that is the prime example of, or under paragraph 3 of the revised penal of the Article 13. And second, the sufficient provocation or threat on the part of the offended party immediately preceded the act. So, ikaw gihagit-hagit, ikaw gi-provoke sa victim, and then you committed a crime. So, you may invoke that mitigating circumstance nga ikaw gi-provoke. So, that is why you committed a crime. That is, maybe if someone invited you or provoked you to have a fist fight, then you committed in turn serious physical injury upon that person, di day kabalo mo away, then naghagit-hagit sa imuha. Provocation on the part of the victim may be appreciated in your favor as mitigating circumstances. But then again, if you participated in a fist fight as you were provoked, you still be liable for physical injury or serious physical injury if you committed physical injury in the person. But you still have to invoke or the mitigating circumstance of provocation may be appreciated in your favor. Moving on, we have paragraph 5. The act was committed in the immediate vindication of grave offense, constituting the felony. Now, in his spouse, ascendants, descendants, illegitimate natural brothers, sisters, relatives by affinity within the same degrees. Now, kining pasabot aning paragraph 5 of Article 13 is that immediate vindication. Like, for example, ning balos ka tungod kay or you inflict physical harm on the lover of your daughter because ning gitaban sa lain. So that's immediate vindication of the grave offense. The grave offense mentioned in the law is not necessarily a crime. Grave offense in your part. Say for example, katong akong gihatag nga imuhang anak gitaban sa iyang uyab na wala pa ako mag-eskwela, wala pa ako mag-police. So, the act or action immediately after the vindication of the grave offense committed against your part or on your part may be appreciated in your favor if you committed, let's say for example, serious physical injury on the person or the boyfriend of your daughter. That's it. But again, mitigating circumstances is not an exempting circumstance. Mitigating circumstance only lowers the imposable penalty and not exempt you or not justify you will not justify you in committing serious physical injury in the example given. We will move on to our paragraph 6 and 10 on the next videos because this will not fit in 15-minute format. See you again in a while.